Everyone, my millions and millions of followers and fans. I know I'm always 3 minutes late starting my live. That's alright. It's my show. Learn to deal with it. Welcome back to the IanTheHRPro live podcast. Today is Thursday, Career Club. We're talking resumes, cover letters, job hunts, interview prep, lateral moves, promotions, and all things careers. Oh boy, just making myself out of breath. My name is Ian Hopfe, and I'm an HR professional. Over the last 20 years, I got 20 years of leadership experience and a management degree, and I'm a CPHR candidate. I've supported hundreds of business leaders and nonprofit leaders over the years. I've operated my business, LBH Business Services, since 2020 with a 5-star rating on Google. I'm indigenous, but I'm also half German, so I have lived experience in both the worlds of being a visible minority, and having the power and privilege of a white-sounding last name. That's kind of a good segue to get us into today. If you're interested in connecting with me in some way, shape, or form, use the QR code at the top of the screen here that says all my links. That goes to my link tree, which is listed down here at the bottom of the page. So linktr.ee/IanTheHRPro. And I want you to ask your questions in the comments. I'm going to turn that off. So the show's better when we have questions from the floor. If you've got any sort of job hunt question, put it in the comments. Or if you're some sort of resume expert or recruiter or something like that and you want to be on the show, also let me know. You can also connect with me at all my links and set up a meeting, discovery call, and we can see about connecting more. Or if you want to be on the show right now, let me know in the chat and I will send you the invite link, and then I'll put you up on screen and there'll be two of us. Now, as long as you're not some raving lunatic, I might keep you on the show instead of cutting you off. Anyway, so I got the chill music on today. Oh yeah. And I've got my regular Earl Grey tea here. Of course, I don't put any sugar or milk in my Earl Grey tea because tea is super healthy. Just like coffee is super healthy, as long as it's black coffee. Tea is super healthy because the tea plant, white tea, green tea, regular black tea, they all come from the same plant. And this plant actually sends good stuff to our brain, and it makes us feel good, the tea. And that's why everybody in the world drinks tea. It's a very big thing. I think tea drinkers are more prevalent in the world than coffee drinkers. I believe that. For some reason, I think maybe there's a lot of tea drinkers in India, and you have a country that is that big. There's some dude out in the back alley, and I can see him above the garage, the neighbor's garage. Okay, that's freaky. Freaking out. You must have been on a truck or something. There must be a truck out there. Or I'm going crazy. That's it. It's finally hit me. I have gone crazy. Have another look. No, I can see a truck through the trees. Okay, we're okay. We're okay. Everybody's okay. Everybody calm down. I got my T-brain going on. My T-brain is going on. Right, the segue. My German sounding last name, Hopfe. It is from my dad. My dad was German descent, and that's where the name comes from. And I believe, especially before LinkedIn and social media was prevalent and a thing for employers to look up, I think I had a lot of power and privilege with my last name. So when I was job hunting, I could put in my resume. They would see this white sounding name, Ian Hopfe. I mean, sounds pretty white to me. I mean, other than like Ian Smith. Ian is the Celtic form of John, so essentially my name is John Hopfe. Before the internet, basically, or before, social media really got big, so we're talking about MySpace and YouTube. Facebook was just for college students, because they initially, in order for you to join Facebook, you needed an actual university address that they give you when you're a student, and that's the only way you could connect until they opened it up to everybody in the world. Yawn, sorry. I'll try to have more of this tea. Wake me up. It's still a little warm. So I could send in my resume and get into interviews easily. It felt easier in the 2000s for me to get an interview. And this is my perspective as an Indigenous person with a white sounding last name. I mean, if I was using my mother's maiden name, my last name would be Yellowknee. That's a little more traditional sounding than Hopfe. So I think when I would do this, I would get into these interviews, and it was interesting. When I was in the city of Edmonton in the early 2000s, I was job hunting. I was actually getting interviews but no jobs, no job offers. So that was very strange to me. I would be backhandedly complimented about my good resume, because they would ask me questions like, did you write this resume? And I, at the time I was confused, and I said, yeah. I mean, now I've talked about this before, and people have made comments about how no, you're just thinking racism because you're Indigenous, right? But I got more interviews back then, a lot more interviews, and I could feel it. I felt like there was progress. When you send out 10, 20, 100 resumes, job applications, you expect a certain percentage back, or at least no, sorry. But we're not feeling that anymore. We're not feeling that we're getting into interviews, and we're not feeling like we're even being responded to. And I think this is more general across the board for all people. But I think it's probably worse for people with ethnic sounding names, or, or new Canadian sounding names, indigenous sounding names, right? Like, I think we all have a different perception of what's going on. I am sure people of color and people with ethnic sounding names, or foreign sounding names, have always had difficulty getting an interview. Because I spoke to a young lady who we hired one time, and she had a foreign sounding last name, but her first name was an American sounding name. And I found out like a year after we hired her that wasn't her legal name. So essentially, I had done up a contract for her, and it wasn't her legal name. So she legally didn't work for us because she had the wrong name on her resume. But when I found this out, and I found out what her real name was, which is a very beautiful name, and it saddens me that people have to make an American name to blend into America and to get a job. And this is sad. This is so sad. This is, like epic racism across the board. If you got a strange sounding name and I don't know how to say it, I'm not going to hire you. Right? And if you got a thick accent or your English isn't perfect, I'm not going to hire you because I'm going to have too much trouble understanding you, trying to get the job done. Meanwhile, I know people with thick accents who have master's degrees and just massive amounts of education, which makes them twice as qualified as the people that end up getting hired. And it's disgusting, essentially, right? So I don't think we don't have the same perception. Someone who's white with a white sounding name is going to feel like it's not so bad. Me, indigenous with a white sounding name, I'm going to say it's a little bit worse. And other people of color with a traditional foreign sounding name, it's going to be even worse. And this is something that I think is really systemic in our society in Canada and the world. Like, we don't understand our level of power, privilege, and racism, and it makes it hard for us to hire a properly skilled candidate. So I think there's a group of people out there that always felt it was hard to get a job and very difficult to get into an interview. They always felt that way. So they knew the system was always rigged against them. And me, until I started my journey in like 2019 or something like that, 2018, I had a certain level of privilege. I had a white father. I have a white sounding last name. I could get my foot in the door. And then everything changed when I started working for Kairos Canada. I went to So I went to Ontario to do training with all the employees of Kairos. And at that training, we did something called the Walk of Privilege. And practitioners have since kind of moved away from the Walk of Privilege because it can be a little bit shocking. And that's exactly what happened to me. So with the Walk of Privilege, everybody in the group lines up against one wall or one side of the room, one end of the room, and the facilitator asks these questions. Have you ever experienced this or whatever? And it could be, the questions could be predominantly about race, about language, about sexuality, whatever the topic is they're trying to teach you about. So everybody who says no to that question, like an Indigenous question would be, have you ever had to boil water for an extended period of time in your home community or something like that, right? And a lot of Indigenous people have experienced this. So they don't take a step. But anyone who's never experienced this takes a step forward. And they just keep asking those questions. And anyone who's experienced that situation that they're talking about doesn't take a step. Well, when they finished this Walk of Privilege, I had only taken 2 or 3 steps, and there was only one person who was further behind me. I think he maybe took 1 step. It was an older Indigenous employee. He was I think he was a facilitator of the Kairos blanket exercise. He took 1 step. And me, with my white sounding last name and the privilege that I took from my father, my white privilege was shattered that day. I couldn't finish listening to what the facilitator was talking about. I became broken that day. My sense of identity broke. And I started to cry and I had to leave the room. One participant, she did come out and comfort me and talk to me. But my identity broke that day. And since then, every experience of my life, I've had to re-examine and just kind of, was that a racist moment? Like, there was just the situations. Me and my wife, up to that point, we were just kind of like, oh, Ian's got some weird bad luck. People act crazy around him and things like that, right? So it was just my bad luck. That's the way we played it off in our heads. But at this point, when my identity just shattered, I was lost and confused. And it was like that cartoon Inside Out, where there's the core memories, and the revelation in the cartoon was that every core memory had 2 sides to it. So if it's a good memory, it was a good memory because something bad had happened. And it's just the perspective on how your emotions dealt with that core memory. So it was like I had to go through all my core memories in my life and reshuffle them. Like, what was that situation? Right? And I had to start dealing with this. And in hindsight, it was reflected in my ability to get a job. A major reason why I have, there's just a vehicle out there, why I couldn't get a mainstream job. And that struggle, even though I had gotten my degree, why wasn't I getting interviews anymore? Basically, after I got my degree and I started job hunting for more human resource professional type roles, I stopped getting interviews. So I chalked it up to, I'm just not experienced enough. Yet I had 20 years of leadership experience from all my volunteer experience. I had been part of, and I started my first business 3 months before I graduated high school. And I had been part of the family business working. I was a computer technician, and when my dad passed away, me and my sister tried to take over the laundromat, and there was experience there, but I was on multiple boards as the chairperson, leading these volunteer teams, and I was just not getting any interviews. So it was, I was kind of relying on people I already knew. I'm grateful. A friend of mine gave me a job for a few years. I think I was with him for 3 years, and I'm very grateful for that position. And we parted ways, and I started working for a couple nonprofits. So that was Kairos, and I even worked for another nonprofit here in Alberta, but they were both kind of part-time things. They weren't full-time, and they weren't in my industry. They weren't HR jobs. So during that time, I was like, well, I'll start helping as a consultant. And I've had some success just dealing with individual projects for my clients and things like that. Oh, this piece of hair is just driving me mad. So I've had success in doing my own business, but it's been very slow, very, very slow. And we also did the Kairos blanket exercise. The Kairos blanket exercise that I facilitate with my wife has actually made us some pretty good, it's actually made us some pretty good money. But that's not HR. That's not where my career love lies, right? So I'm constantly just trying to find more HR type work. I end up finding policy writing work, and that's fine, but I don't enjoy that as much as if I was helping and supporting an organization with their HR. So I have just had on and off clients helping them with their HR. I have never had an HR role. Okay, I lie. I did have an HR manager role for about 6 months in 2000. It started off as a contract, and I was helping them with some policies. And then the general manager said, "Hey, Ian, we just need you here full time. Come work for us." So I started to make the commute to go to work, and I was the HR manager. And this was a construction company, and I had an HR assistant working for me, and we worked. Oh man, I worked long hours because there was nothing set up, right? From employee contracts to the proper hiring. When you have foremen out in the field, they seem to just call up their friend or their cousin or whatever and say, "Hey, come work for me today. Get out here today," right? They didn't have a proper process set up for how to properly hire and onboard people. So it made it messy. Oh, the back end, the office work was messy. So these are the things we were working through. And then suddenly a bunch of people got laid off. And of course, the whole HR department, me and my HR assistant, were gone. All right, first to go seems to be HR. But this HR role I was doing, it was amazing. It was fun. I enjoyed getting in early and working late. I mean, I was out of town and I wasn't around my wife, so I had nothing else to do in the evening except work a little bit later and go home and eat, right? But so this big change in my identity, I realized that once upon a time before social media, I used to get way more interviews because of my white sounding last name. But now, since the internet, and something I always liked was to advise people to make sure they put their LinkedIn link on their resume. And that was because if someone wanted to go look at maybe more of their job history, they could. Because we set up a resume just for that industry, or we only put in the last 10 years of our experience, right? And in an attempt to make the resume a reasonable length. And I may be moving away from putting that LinkedIn link because it exposes people to seeing your photo. A lot of new Canadians or people trying to get jobs in Canada before they can immigrate, it's normal for them in their society to have a picture on their resume. It's like it's almost like an ID photo, right? Very serious, very plain looking, and they put that on their resumes. And for me, here in Canada, that's a complete no-no, right? Because you don't want the hiring manager to prejudge someone based on just what they look like, right? Oh, that's a person of color. They're going to have a thick accent. So we're just not going to interview them, right? In my case, oh, he's Indigenous. He's probably got all kinds of drinking problems and drug problems. We won't be able to rely on him, right? So I absolutely don't advise putting your photo on your resume, but I was still recommending this LinkedIn. Now, does it matter? Because you can take anybody's name and search for them. If they've got any sort of social media footprint. Sorry. If they have any sort of social media footprint, you're going to find them. You're going to see their photo. You're going to see information about them. You're going to see their party pictures from the last time they went to Las Vegas or not California. Well, maybe California, but like Mexico or something like that, right? All you're going to see is their vacation party pictures. And that's not the way we want to be seen when we're trying to get a job. Even though the truth is, all of us have our lives outside of work. And your life outside of work has nothing to do with your work, and your employer has no business looking into your private life. Just no business whatsoever. You are a private citizen. You are allowed to have your life outside of work. As a business owner, they can judge you on your performance at work while you're doing work. They are not allowed to judge you on anything you do outside of work, or your health, or the number of days you take off work. I mean, if you're taking leave without pay, that's a different thing. But if you're taking your regular vacation days, your regular PTO, personal time, right, that's all part of your compensation, right? You signed up to have this much pay, this many sick days, this many vacation days, this many special days off, this health benefit, this mental health benefit, like the possibility for a bonus. You signed up for all of this. This is your total compensation. You are owed all that stuff without judgment. If you use up all your sick days every month, every quarter, every year, who cares? It's not the business of your employer. Who cares? Employers try so hard to make sure people don't use their sick days or their PTO. It's owed to you. As an employee, these benefits are owed to you. They're part of what you signed up for. The only thing they can start arguing with is if you're taking a lot of time off without pay. And you got to sit down and make sure you have a good conversation with your supervisor, your boss, your manager, and talk about why you're taking this time off, why you need this time off. Because that is going above and beyond what you are owed as an employee. So, rant. Always ranting. So let's try to bring it back here. I was talking about how it is now hard for me in the day of social media to get an interview. Because of this fact, I have reduced the number of applications I send out, and I'm just picking and choosing the jobs that I really want, that I'm really interested in, and I'm willing to change my lifestyle, adjust my business, and bend over backwards if I get invited to work for a great company in a fun sounding job. I am. And that's because, well, this is the life of a consultant, right? The more I can get steady work, whether it's a consultant, a part-time job, a full-time job, I'm going to do it because I'm a person too, right? So you think about this, but you may be in a situation where you're not getting the occasional benefits of, a few $1,000s on a project that I might get, right? So you're looking for work. So I think don't put your LinkedIn link. Use your real name on your resume. If you have a social media presence, lock it down as much as you can. If you're not specifically using a social media to do something, like our LinkedIns tend to be info about us working and trying to get a job. I think it has expanded to business owners and corporations and companies doing their thing, right? It has become more than just networking for career purposes. It really is becoming more of a social media. So unless you're specifically using something like LinkedIn to network and get a job or whatever, I would try to lock down your social media as much as possible. Don't make anything public. Keep it all personal. Only your close friends and families can see your profiles, things like that. Lock it down. If you are trying to do some personal branding, I think we talked about personal branding last week, then you're going full bore, full on, as many social medias as you can, but you're keeping it on topic as much as possible. You are talking about your industry, your desired jobs, the skills you have, the things you're learning in your university or training course or whatever. Talk about that, because that's what a potential employer wants to know. Can this person do XYZ? Do they have the proper training to do ABC? Right? Oh. Still people walking around out there freaking me out. We have an alleyway, another alleyway, we're the fourth house over, and then there's a dog park. So I can kind of see the dog park just a little bit, but then I can see people walking down that other alley this way, and I don't know what they're doing. As long as they're not trying to break into my garage, that's okay. That's another thing. We are in a society where we are letting people fall through the cracks. People aren't getting their jobs despite being qualified and trying as hard as they can to try to get a job. We have a lot of people that are just falling through the cracks. Here in Edmonton, we are seeing more and more houseless neighbors. Okay, that's weird. But a truck that was parked over there that some dude was walking on had like 8 staircases pre-built stacked up. So, I think maybe they're building like an 8-plex just behind our house in the neighborhood. Like we're facing a main road, but this 8-plex is going in on a regular size lot, just a couple lots over, facing the inside of the neighborhood, and they're sharing our alleyway here. Anyway, and out there in that dog park, we are seeing more and more of our houseless neighbors setting up tents, trying to live. We're hearing more and more about crime in the neighborhood, people breaking into garages to steal things that they can sell, musical instruments, bikes. Bikes are a big commodity when it comes to our houseless neighbors, because that's their transportation. That's their mode of transportation. So that's a big thing, to always have a good bike. And people are slipping through the cracks, and I don't know how to solve this problem as an individual. There are a lot of Indigenous people that have fallen through the cracks. A couple years back, they were saying there was an estimated 3,000 houseless people living in Edmonton on the streets, and I'm sure that number's gone up. But my own nation, the Big Stone Cree Nation, I heard estimates that about 500 of those houseless people were from my nation. So my cousins, my uncles, my aunties, right? Like these people, if we put them into the family tree, I might be very closely connected with them. And this is so sad. This is like a doubly sad thing. And, what are we doing? What are our nations doing? What's the city of Edmonton doing? What's the province doing? What's the country doing? Every level of government is failing people. For whatever reason, everyone has a reason that they're not doing something. But these people are slipping through the cracks. More and more of them. And unable to get a job. That's like step one. Right? You lost your job for some reason or other. And now you're spending months and years on this job hunt trying to get a job. You're in a situation where maybe your spouse is working too, or you're just barely surviving on like child support or what's that parents get from the government for their kids? Is that child support? I think that's child support. I think the other one I was thinking like alimony or something from the spouse that has left. Right, you're barely surviving, trying to look after your kids, and then you're losing your kids. The kids are going into the system. This is very prevalent for Indigenous families. The kids end up in the foster care system, and it is more expensive to have to take kids away from their family and put them into a system where they're paying other families to foster these children. The amount of money you get for fostering children is more than what a parent gets for child support from the government, right? Like, why don't you just give the actual parents the same amount of money that a foster parent would get, or equivalent to, right? So why just do that, and you would cut out all the bureaucracy and all the extra work to do this, right? Just support the families as they are. And if you have a single mom that's been trying to get a job for the last year and getting like no supports, yeah, the children are going to be in rough shape in a rough house. That's just because poor mom hasn't been able to do anything. Like, you'll get a job offer, but then it's weird hours, or you got a handful of kids and there's a lot of extra responsibility. It's hard, and too many of our employers don't give a shit. Too many of our employers will fire people, give warnings, disciplinary action, because single parent had to leave work early multiple times to go pick up children because the babysitter wasn't around, or couldn't work late or can never work late because they have the kids, and they can never come in on Saturdays or the weekend for overtime, overflow work, because they've got to look after their kids. Why are we punishing people for having children? Isn't that the whole purpose of life? Shouldn't single moms and children be taken care of better? Shouldn't we be encouraging people to have more babies? If you're a Christian person, you believe that family's important, right? So why don't our businesses care? And after people have their child, why don't we continue caring about them children, right? There's something missing. Society isn't about life anymore. It feels it's more about just money and weird personal beliefs. So not being able to get a job, that's the first step, right? That's rough shape. And big corporations are taking advantage of this. They know there's a lot of people out there struggling and needing to make extra money or have something. God, sorry. Sorry, I'm choking on a booger. That's always fun. I'm sorry. But I forgot what I was talking about because I was coughing up a booger. So we need to keep people from falling through the cracks at this level of the job hunt. And the big corporations have come in and said, here's the gig economy. It's an excuse not to pay more, and definitely an excuse not to give a whole bunch of benefits that's more than just an hourly wage. So now we have so many delivery drivers, skip drivers, Uber drivers, the electric scooters and electric bikes we have running around the big cities. For the Lime bikes, there's these people called juicers, and they go out at night in the evening, and they have the app, and it tells them which bikes and scooters are low on battery, or maybe out of a zone, or hanging from the River Valley Bridge or something, right? Like, so they get notified and they got to go out and they pick up all these ones that need charging. And then they bring the scooters and the bikes back to their like personal garage, and they hook up the chargers and charge these overnight. And then first thing in the morning, they have to take them back to, they have different locations. So you'll see a bank of like 5 to 10 scooters, electric scooters, all sitting together. Well, that's where the juicers brought the Lime scooters back, right? I looked into it and I was thinking of doing it. 2 issues. One, they wanted me to have an electric vehicle or an extremely fuel efficient vehicle. And I'm like, I don't know if my Ford F-150 is going to cut it, right? I mean, I had the ability to certainly go out and get like 10 scooters all at once and put them in the back of my truck. But I was like, oh, that's kind of a no-go. I have to be a rich person in order to get this gig economy job, right? Okay, so number 2 was that the starting revenue for a juicer was like $2 a night to charge the scooters. $2. So if I went out and picked up 10 scooters that all needed charging, and I'm taking them home, and it's no holds barred. All the juicers are basically running out there trying to get as many as they can to charge. They can only take the scooters that have a certain level of charge. They can't take one that's like 2/3 and it's still good to go, right? They have to only take the ones that are at a certain level, a low level. So it's a mad scramble. And a city like Edmonton, they could have, 100 juicers all fighting for a scooter to charge overnight, and they only give you so many of the chargers. So when you first started, I think they were only going to give me 1 or 2 chargers, and I had to get to a certain level, charge a certain amount of scooters before they would give me more chargers. So starting off 1 or 2 scooters a night at $2, that's $4. I had to drive, pick up the scooters wherever they might have been, drive home, put them in my garage, charge them in my garage using my power, and then take them out first thing in the morning, as early as possible. I can't remember what time you had to have it out there, before 7 or something like that, right? And you had to pick them up late, after 10 or something like that. So it was a very late night type of job, and you'd make $4 using my gas, using my power. You're not making any money doing that. You're losing money until you can get to a point where you can pick up 10 or 20 scooters in one day. I don't even know what the limit was. I didn't find out enough because I didn't start. But you're doing this gig job for peanuts. You're giving the big corporation money by doing some of these gigs. And it's just despicable, right? Really? They're trying to cut out the human, the person. I mean, okay, some technologies are going to come in, some new machinery, technology always wins. If there's something new on the horizon, yes, it's going to happen, because corporations always want to get rid of the physical person that's costing them more. If I upgrade all my technology, that's a one-time expense, capital expense. Whereas if I keep the amount of employees I need to do the same job, that's an ongoing expense forever, right? But so technology is going to happen. It's going to happen naturally. As technology appears, it's going to happen. So we can't fight technology. We can't be like the French workers throwing our sabot into the machineries. Sabotage, right? We're not going to stop mechanization. We're not going to stop the technology. That's just not an option. So we need to be prepared for that. But I don't like, a large organization should not be squeezing their expenses to the extreme, because that doesn't allow you to grow at the other end. If you squeeze all your expenses, it doesn't give you the resources, the additional people, whatever, the assets you need to do the expansion and grow the other side of the business, which is, let's grow revenue. If you're a business, your first, and I might almost add, only job is to get more revenue, not squeeze your expenses, because this only hinders you. I mean, would you cut off your leg just to fit into a smaller vehicle? I mean, that's ridiculous, because now you also have to carry around your wheelchair and your crutches and whatever mobility devices you need, right? It doesn't make sense. Keep your legs, keep your assets, keep your employees. Naturally, employees will reduce as certain technologies and mechanization comes in. That's going to happen. But you don't force it. You don't force it at this end. What you're doing is, how do we make more money? How do we make more revenue? This is where you should be concentrating on. And you should be using these resources, your team, to get the job done. So you just see these big CEOs, they come in, they reduce costs, and their ratio expenses to revenue gets better. It's a false improvement. And then that CEO gets their multi-million-dollar bonus, right? Bonuses, I think, should only be given as a result of the increase in revenue, not a combination of the decrease of expenses and the increase in revenue, right? Because that's a back-end trick. It's a dirty trick to get your bonus, right? Let's fire a bunch of people, and then I'll look good for a couple of years, and then I'll move on to a different company, and they can hire a different CEO to solve the problems moving down the road. Meanwhile, I've got millions of dollars in my pocket, right? So gigs, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. If you have the ability to do a gig and you don't mind doing the gig and the side hustle, fine, do it. But just remember, there might be a greater expense there than the benefits, the gas and things like that. It makes me think of my one and only day doing pizza delivery. On my very first delivery, halfway to dropping off the pizza, I get pulled over for speeding. There was a section of road that I honestly thought was 60 when it was 50. That whole road, it's 50. It's always been 50, but I was new to the city, so I honestly thought it was 60. So I get a speeding ticket, and I get pulled over. And I've got the delivery. I got the pizza getting cold and the drinks getting hot. And I'm just like, oh my God. That first day of pizza delivery cost me $75. I didn't make money that day. I lost money by being out and about, being uninformed about the speed limit. I lost money that day. I mean, that was the end of my pizza delivery career. And I tried, when I was trying to make extra money, when I was working a couple part-time jobs, I was trying to make this extra money, and I decided, well, let's try Uber. And I had the Ford F-150 at that time, probably the biggest vehicle in the fleet. And I think I was trying to do it weekends. I would do like Friday, Saturday nights, thinking I could make some money. So I was hanging out where all the bars are and stuff like that. And I tried that, I don't know, a month. And I think I made $12. Like, it was ridiculously low. And the cost of my fuel for that truck, I would have to go park on a side street and have the engine off, waiting for a ride. It was very, very short-lived. But we see these corporations saying, oh, gigs are a good way to make extra money. I mean, I see delivery drivers who make videos while they're working, and they post those videos on YouTube and other social medias. And I bet you they're making more money from the social media posting than from the gig they're doing. The gig they're doing is just helping them create content. And that is amazing. That's awesome. They're basically doing what I'm doing. I'm going live. I'm creating content. I'm trying to give value to my clients so they'll hire me or buy my ebook or whatever they might be trying to do. Right? I will eventually, hopefully, make more steady income, and that's the same tactic that these people are doing. Very ingenious. They're using their gig. They're using the gig economy to help them create content, which is another way to make money. And I talked about that a little bit yesterday when we were doing side gigs and side hustles topic, right? But how does this translate into actually getting a job? I feel like once you start down that path of gigs, you lose sight of getting a job. Now, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It depends. If you're actually starting to make some money with your gig, then it might be okay. You might be okay. But there's a lot of different side gigs out there that you can do. And while doing this, absolutely add it to your resume. Because a lot of side gigs are dealing with customer service type situations. And you could brag about, hey, I do this side gig on this app and I've got a 5 out of 5 rating, right? Because I'm great with customers and I always get these great reviews from my customers, right? And like, this is something else that you could put on your resume. So don't be scared. I mean, if you're doing some sort of side gig, side hustle, working on Fiverr, freelancing, what's that? The TaskRabbit, where you go do tasks for people. I know through TaskRabbit, there's people that will come and put your IKEA furniture together, and IKEA has this deal with them so that the taskers are experts in putting the IKEA furniture together, and they'll come to your house and put it together for you, right? I mean, if you're doing anything like that, that's customer service, that's skill-based stuff. Put it on your resume. We tend to be humiliated about these part-time jobs we have. Like, if you are a lawyer and you're trying to find a job at a new firm, in order for you to survive, you're bartending, right? Like it's kind of out of the blue type of job. Like, oh, well, why are they bartending? You know, but they want to be a lawyer, right? You just, it doesn't quite match. I say put it on anyway. And we're at a point in society where we're, I don't want to say we're down and out, but people are resorting to the more adult, creative, online side hustles, the OnlyFans situation, right? I think that was something that we always poo-pooed in society. If someone, mainly females, went and got a job as an exotic dancer or were professional girlfriends, right? Like, we really poo-pooed that, but it's been around. The sex industry has been around and it will stay around. But how do we... Nobody wants to say, oh, I was a stripper for 10 years and I worked at this bar, right? Like, that's hard to unless you're getting another job in the same industry, it's hard for you to put that on your resume when you're planning on being a lawyer, right? So I don't, it's still taboo to say, oh, for the last 6 months, I've been working on my OnlyFans, and it's helped me a lot about marketing and customer service, and that's why I'm applying for this job. Do you know how much marketing has to get done with something like an OnlyFans account? Man, it's just like any other business. Like with my business, I am marketing every day. I'm trying to just push it. I'm trying to create that content. That's the same thing for someone with OnlyFans. And I think there's probably people who are having great success, and there's people that aren't having great success. And it's hard to put these things in there. What I'm doing with my marketing for my human resource consulting business is the same stuff your favorite OnlyFans creator is doing. It's the same skill set. So why is it I can say I've been marketing my personal business, but that person doing the taboo industry can't put that on their resume? Right? So it's a strange society. But it's a hard one. People are going to be, oh, that's taboo, we can't talk about that, and it becomes a forbidden subject, especially around family dinner table or whatever, right? I mean, but we're forced to do things to survive. And you think about, I think about Independence Day with Vivica Fox, and she's a stripper because she has to make money for her son, right? And I think that's more prevalent than we think. Couldn't get a job, had no university degree or anything like that. So you got to do what you got to do for your family, right? And I think the more people slip through the system, our faulty society, as they go down, right? They can't get a good job. They don't have an education, so they get an even worse job. And now they're only doing part-time work. Then they finally lose their job, and their kids get taken away. And, now they can't pay their rent, so they got no place to live now. Now they're living on the street. No contact with their kids or their family. The more we see this, the more, I forgot what my point was. God, I'm sure it was a really amazing point too. The more we have people slipping through this, the more we're seeing, that's what I was thinking of. The more we're seeing people doing what they got to do. So you got a bad job, you got a family, you're going to start an OnlyFans, or you're going to do the traditional route and go become an exotic dancer, right? Like, you got to do what you got to do to make money. But now, if you're at that point where you've lost everything and you're living on the street, well, what's the extreme there? Well, you're going to do what you got to do. You are in absolute survival mode when you're living on the streets. Absolute survival. There's nothing else, right? Surviving and trying to forget your situation. So we have a higher increase, there's that increase of substance abuse because you got nothing else to live for, right? You are bare bones trying to survive physically, mentally, socially. Like, you are just trying to survive, man. So your side gig as a houseless neighbor is trying to panhandle, beg for as much money as you can so you can buy a crowbar at the pawn shop, and then you spend the next month breaking into everybody's garages in a certain neighborhood. I mean, that's survival mode, man. And why are we letting people get that low? Why is society allowing this? So that's one of the reasons why I like to give value with the Career Club on Thursdays. I want to talk about your resumes. I want to get you a better chance at getting a job interview. And I talk about side gigs and advertising your small business on Wednesdays, because I still need you to be successful. I need you not to become that person at the bottom of society. And me as an individual person, I can't do anything except vote in the proper people that are going to look after you. And that's what society is all about. We're just here to help each other. I think there is a lot of people that are one paycheck away from losing their home, losing their vehicle, losing their children. I think there's a lot of people living like that, and we don't realize that. So getting that job, keeping that job, it is so important. Once you have the job, you then start finding a way to get a better job or to advance that career if you love that job, if you like that job. I never advise anyone to stay at a job that's just like soul crushing. Stay there long enough to gain experience or to put a bunch of money in your bank account or until you get a better job, right? So but once you get to that point, man, cut and run. You got no loyalty to a job that has a bad work environment or doesn't pay you enough. The gig economy jobs, I don't think they pay the minimum, the minimum living wage in any community. Right? You're losing money by some of these gigs. So you gotta find ways to be creative. You gotta get that resume up. You've got to update your resume constantly. You learn something new in your work, as a volunteer, in your education, you add it to your resume. Just add it to your resume. Every work experience, every volunteer experience, and every education experience that you have, there should be bullet points. A work experience, there should be like 10 plus bullet points in there of all the things you did at that job, using all the proper keywords, right? Job titles don't give enough detail. You might say administrative assistant. I have a preconception about what an administrative assistant does. But you were actually doing the work of a finance clerk. You were doing finance work, not plain old admin work, right? There's a difference. So they called you an admin assistant, but like 75% of the work you did was supporting the finance department. So you were the finance clerk. You were doing different work that a normal admin assistant would be doing, and that's And by normal, I mean that's just what we think an admin assistant does, right? We have a preconception about a job title. So you want to put in everything that you did on that job. If you're an admin assistant, you want to put everything in there because you may have been assigned work, tasks that are not normally done by the admin assistant. And your volunteer experience. My God, if you don't volunteer, go volunteer. You need to find something to volunteer for so that you can add it to your resume. Yeah, there's a selfish motive for volunteering personally to you, but that's fine because you're still helping in some organization in some way. Now, when we think about volunteer, we think about setting up for an event or dishing out food at the local food kitchen or sorting stuff at the local food bank, right? We think about these more physical things. Yes, that happens. But there's a lot of organizations where you can volunteer to be on their board. Here in Edmonton, we have the community league system. So every community in the city has a community league that looks after the community. The community league essentially does programming for the communities. So you can get on that board. You're not necessarily volunteering at events, but you could be on the board contributing and learning as a board member, right? You spend 4 years on the community league board and you were president or you were a treasurer or vice president or something. You learned how to run meetings. You were in a leadership role as a volunteer, yes, but it's still experience. It is still important. It is a possible different type of experience that you wouldn't get from your normal admin assistant job, right? You're an admin assistant, but you're also the president of the community league in your neighborhood, and you run meetings, you create agendas, you sometimes you do minutes. I mean, that's very admin assistant stuff, but creating the agenda, and you're sending letters to as the president, you're doing a little more work, outside work. You're communicating with your outside stakeholders and whatever other community things. That's the tea gone. So volunteer, my God, volunteer. Get that extra experience. There's always going to be some excuse. Oh, but I don't have time. I'm busy working. All right. When you get to a halfway stable situation and you've got some free evenings and the occasional free weekend, that's when you start volunteering. I'm not saying you have no job, you should go volunteer. Your job, when you don't have a job, is to search for a job. So, yeah. And that's hard. That's hard work. Searching for a job is exhausting because you're creating a new cover letter for every job, blah, blah, blah. But people overlook the education experience also. So you could list the classes you took. Maybe you volunteered on a campus committee or something, right? Put those in. Maybe you learned a certain program as part of your education. So say you used Microsoft Excel for the first time to do your assignments in your education. Put that down. Learn to use Microsoft Office Excel to do assignments. I mean, you now have the basics for Microsoft Excel on your resume. even though your current job as an admin assistant, you had nothing to do with spreadsheets or Excel, right? Or you're trying to change careers, but you're a truck driver for the last 10, 20 years, right? Now you have Excel experience that'll get you into an office. Maybe not just that, but I mean, you got to find those things that are going to tweak your career, and you got to make sure that gets put on your resume. I can't stress it enough. I mean, but you're going to be like, oh, Ian, I'm going to end up with a 10-page resume. Then have a 10-page resume. If your resume is long because you have a lot of bullet points, because you did a lot of stuff, you learned a lot of stuff at the job, that's okay. What I don't like to see is just some random, these are my skills, or these are all the programs I know, right? Like these are unprovable. Each one of those skills should be in a job bullet point, right? And I mean, it seems silly for you to write something like hardworking, dependable. I mean, when I'm looking at a resume and I see someone say they're hardworking and dependable, no proof, no proof. Put it into that job description, the bullet point that says, I opened up the office every morning at 5 and didn't leave till 6 every night because I was the key holder, and I did this straight for 3 years. I mean, that's dependable. That's a trusting position, right? Like it's something that you can put on the resume. It is proof that you're dependable. If you just say you're dependable, I'm going to be like, yeah, BS, man. This is total BS. Everybody says they're hardworking and dependable. I mean, but if you say you had to get up, you had to be at the office to open the front door at 5 a.m. every day for a certain amount of time, that's dependable. That's proof that you were dependable, are dependable, right? So I hate the unprovable skills section. Get rid of that. Put them into bullet points. Now, if you are running more than 5 pages on your resume, take anything out that's older than 10 years and look at your bullet points and see if you can amalgamate a few of them, because it might be very similar things you're talking about, so you might be able to put them together. I just think about list of programs you used, right? Don't put, I used program XYZ. Next bullet, I used this other program, WXY, right? Put them together. I use these 4 or 5 programs and just list them out there together. So something like that is easy to crunch together. But there may be other things that are easy to crunch together also. Now, for the advanced people that want to take advantage of AI, you could throw your resume into something like ChatGPT and say, hey ChatGPT, I feel my resume is too long. Can you shorten it for me? Can you put together some of these bullets that make sense? It'll do it. It'll probably drop your resume from 5 pages down to 3 pages. And that's good. That's great. Just make sure you review it. Anything that comes out of AI for right now, make sure you always review it. Consider anything coming from AI to be your draft, and you still have to review and refine it. So, because there's always, ChatGPT likes to put, it assumes things too. If you're using a certain job title or a certain certification name, it knows, it's found out that these certain tasks are related to other things, or if you've got 2 years experience with it, it means you're an ultra expert or something, right? So it may say something a little bit uncomfortable for you. It's going to say things that you never thought of. They're going to word things that sound really awesome, but there is going to be some that it's going to reword as something that you're just not comfortable doing or saying. Because remember, when you get into that job interview, you may be asked about these things. So if you're not comfortable asking about these, answering the question about something on your resume, just take it out or change it to something that's more relevant, right? It may say expert in using XYZ program because you used it for the last 2 years, but you only used it for a certain thing. You weren't using the full array of it, so you may say, oh, I don't want to say I'm an expert. I'm an intermediate user of XYZ program, right? That's what you need to change up, because then they'll say, oh, well, you're only intermediate. And then you can say, yes, because I did these sorts of things, but I know the program has the ability to do other things, and that wasn't part of my role at that time. But it proves that you've used the program and you understand the program, and you could probably learn to do other things. I killed my tea, squished my tea bag to get the last bit of tea out of it. So, God, just ranting about that resume, man. I want you to get a job so you don't fall through the cracks of society. It's level 1, right? Level 1 bad situation. This is why I'm an extremely big fan of the universal basic income, because the economy, the base of the economy, the major input to the economy is the people. And if you're an employee, and if you make money, you can contribute more to the economy. So imagine if governments were able to siphon money back to the people so that they can purchase stuff. So you can buy your groceries, so you can pay your rent, so you can pay for services. I mean, if you got no money, there's no society, right? Everything breaks down because nobody can afford a cell phone. Nobody can afford to go grocery shopping, right? We start relying more on social services that shouldn't have to be there. A food bank, a soup kitchen. These things should not be there. They are signs of a decaying society. And once you lose your job and you can't get stable again, you risk falling through the cracks of this terrible society we're supporting. But if you had a universal basic income, no questions asked, you just got money. And I think for most of us to survive, it might have to be $1,500 to $2,000 a month, right? Someone who's got no place to live, instantly getting that amount of money allows them the ability to at least be part-time sheltered somehow, some way. It could be just, dude, I want to live in your basement. I'll give you $1,000 a month from my universal basic income, right? Like, suddenly it's okay to be able to rent a space in everyone's homes, or, you can start to level up. And it is proven that when you just give money, no questions asked, people find jobs, get clean, possibly start businesses, right? Like, this is proven. So suddenly everyone becomes an asset to the economy instead of being a drain on the economy. If we had housing first policies, then there would be no houseless neighbors. There would instantly be something to get people off the streets, whether that's emergency housing, temporary housing, throw them in a hotel. All those options are cheaper than having someone houseless and doing crime or needing additional resources for certain things, right? Suddenly they're going to the soup kitchens. Like, they can't even go to the food bank because they got no place to put the food, right? The food bank's almost a sign of privilege. You have a home. You can put the food somewhere. You have a working refrigerator, right? Like, this is privilege compared to someone who's living in a tent in your local dog park, right? So giving that dignity, right? That's a hard place to be. We are prideful people. We don't want to admit that we've lost our jobs and we lost our house and we lost our vehicle and our kids were taken away and now we're living on the streets, right? We are prideful people. We don't want to ask for help. So let's do the workaround and say, well, everybody just gets this amount of money. And that's everybody. Poor people, middle-class people, rich people, everybody gets the same amount of money. Just blanket, boom. You combine that with a housing first policy. So think about this. You as a parent have children. Your children grow up. Your children turn 18. They start getting their universal basic income and they get their own house or they get their own place. So you have some sort of building or deal where students or young adults 18 to 25 automatically get a transitional housing from their parents' home to their own homes, right? And this whole process teaches them to be independent people. Plus, they're getting enough money that they can afford the place while they're just getting the place for free, right? If they want something more, then they have to pay for something more. And it's a very basic, like, hotel room type transitional housing situation, right? It's very basic. They want something more. They want to start a family and stuff. Yeah, then they go into the market, the regular market, where they're renting something bigger or they're buying a house, and that's all done with their money. And at that point, they stop getting the free housing. But at any point in our lives where we get down and out and we lose everything, we should immediately get put into a housing situation. And all of us should have access to that. Okay, there's going to be people that oppose universal basic income and the housing first because they're going to say, oh, they're just draining society and we're paying for them. It is cheaper for universal basic income and housing first policy than paying for all the resources needed to support someone who's not in a healthy situation, right? So, whatever. But the first step is not losing your job, having, proper supports, making sure your resume is just beautiful, making sure you're always updating it. And I would, no matter what job you're in, if you have just a little need to want to do something else, you should continue applying for those jobs. You might have a great job, you've been there a while, but if you are planning to advance your career or try something new, absolutely keep applying for those other jobs. Don't stay in a situation long term if you're not going to be happy. Take the action, make the move, right? The action is keeping your resume up to date and applying for new jobs. And when you're in a stable situation, you have that ability to do the volunteering that I want you to do. And whoa, there we go. Spammer. Thank you, Mr. Spam Troll. Don't forget, here's a little advertising for the spammer. Don't forget the best viewers on streamboo.com. Yes, thank you, spammer. You made a comment, so you're contributing to making my show even better. Thank you. So, and that's, I get that. When I go further than an hour and a half on Twitch, I always get that spammer. So thank you. It's a different name every time, but it's a very basic same thing. I mean, don't fall for it, guys. Just continue streaming on Twitch. Don't spend your money on something else. Let the algorithm do the job. So yeah, your resume has to be gold. And if you need support with the resume, you can follow my links. I have a Fiverr gig where I will review your resume and give you tips so you can update your resume. Absolutely, do that. So we're done chatting. I'm not chatting. I'm not taking any more questions now. You missed your chance to comment and ask a question. But tomorrow is Friday, so it is fun and games day on IanTheHRPro live podcast. If you want to come on, if you're a game store owner, I invite you to connect with me and we'll try to get you on. If you are just interested in some game and you want to talk about it, message me. We'll talk about it. I mean, hopefully it's a game that I've played. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love Magic. When I'm a little rusty on the Magic with the new cards. But there's a lot of board games I like. So message me and let's talk about what board game you want to talk about tomorrow. And we'll talk about anything on Friday. Pop culture, music. I talked about music last week. And lyrics that were creepy and strange. But the songs were just amazing. Right? We did a little bit of that. But we can talk about movies. We could talk about gardening if you want to talk about gardening. You can talk about whatever. Talk about doing renovations to your house. I don't care. Popular culture stuff, that's always a good topic. So it's Friday. We let loose. I like to call them unquestions. You ask me your unquestions. Of course, if you have a killer HR question you want to ask tomorrow, ask it. I'm an HR consultant. I'm always up to answer your HR questions. So, I'm gonna let you go. I think just see if there's something that I can share. I probably don't have it. I was just checking to see if there's a direct link to my Fiverr give to do your resume reviews. Oh, yeah, it's here. Boom! This QR code on the screen right now. I will review your resume. $7.24 Canadian. If you came to me personally and asked me to review your resume, I'd charge you $25. So this is cheaper, certainly cheaper on Fiverr. Of course, Fiverr takes their cuts. They might charge you more money to get more money, whatever. So yeah, support me. That's a direct link. This link is also in all my links, especially if you're if you're a small business owner and you're looking to solve your staff drama problems. I got a great little ebook there for $7 that'll get you started. So anyway, take that off. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, spammer, for spamming the show again. That's awesome. It just gives me a comment. Yay! Their account probably got deleted right after they made the comment. So what the heck. Anyway, time is 1:14. We've been on for 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to end this live stream. Bye-bye, everyone.